A video about the books I've been reading lately. And what books have I been reading lately? I read Pinball by Murakami. I read South of the Sun, West of the Wind by Murakami. I read Tsukuru, Colorist Tsukuru by Murakami. I read Kafka and the Shore by Murakami. I read those 4 Murakami books. Now Murakami, in summary, is sort of like weird but also surreal. I'll kind of like do a summarization of like all 4 of the books. There's 2 other books that Did I list 4 books there? Let's see, Tsukuru, Kafka, South of the Border, and yeah. So 4 Murakami books, and a 5th, there was also that picture book that was, I forget what that was called, but it was a good book. Something about a goat person in a library. The library book, you know, Murakami's work overall. And I'm also reading what are the books? Shit. The hallway one. They just melt into each other, don't they? I mean, what do we even need, effort for this content? I've read 5 Murakami books, right? 5. And then I'll read, 2 more. And at a certain point, I've been feeling dubious lately, sort of like Kafka dubious. Not really the runaway feeling Kafka had. That was like a bit ago, Am I feeling a bit more like, what was his name even? Tanaka? The single child in Tanaka, I think that was his name, in South of the Border, West of the Sun. Not feeling like that either, Of course, feeling somewhat fraught all the time, That's what Haruki Murakami is. He's just a novelist for like very fraught people. Fraught. And also sort of self-centered with the romances and stuff. 8 books. I also read After Dark. Yeah. So then the ones I have left to read, and God fucking, why do I keep reading? Reading is good, of course, and reading has a certain place in like life and shit, because it's I don't know, reading is weird. Like, you get familiar with these people, and it's almost like a social relationship, but it's definitely not. But it's also kind of meditative in a way. It's like calming, and that's kind of the place it has for like what a reader, whatever you are, however much you read, what you read, and stuff like that. So this is my video on like Murakami and his books, right? Kafka on the Shore. That was the first one I read. And it's this kind of lark between this young boy who runs away from home and this old man, and like cat murders and this stone and stuff like that, and all these travels and affairs and a bunch of like sexuality and stuff like that. You can say much about that book. Then what was a book I read after that? South of the Border, West of the Sun, I believe. That was interlaced at the same time with the other, After Dark, and the library, the Strange Library. Yeah, and So South of the Border, West of the Sun has this aspect of it where it's trying to like get at the erotic fantasies of the protagonist and trying to criticize them a little, and it continues this sort of Murakami theme of like, you know, him including like all the music, so basically a self-insert character, and the romance between two single children, only children. This person is like right on the side of the road. You could like walk closer to like not the side of the road. Old person. And so I read it to my grandma. I had to skip the weirder sex scenes. Of course, like the more normal sex scenes, you know, that's, you know, who gives a shit, right? But, you know, it can get pretty weird. And like the last sex scene, that was pretty fucking weird, you know? It just shows that sort of like male desperation towards like emotional connection. What a funny novel. Then After Dark, right, is you know, just 6 hours of a story, and it goes between this girl, this guy who's in a band. He's wanting to be a lawyer, though. He's gonna quit his like band career. It's more of a suite, is what I'm saying, than the other two novels that I previously mentioned, right? This Love Hotel, where a Chinese sex worker was like beaten by this guy who works at this like tech company and does like software updates at night. So it's just a whole bunch of characters, sort of like that who's that guy's name? After Night, that movie by the guy with a weird white hair, you know, the guy who also did some other movie, you know, the movie where they go to like Tennessee and stuff, you know. But then that's After Dark, and it kind of shows these conflicts. The sister of Eddie is like always sleeping and stuff like that, so that's not good. That's like a subplot, and it intersperses with a tech worker guy who like rapes and beats the sex worker, and it also, you know, intersperses with the guy in the band who picks up the cell phone that the tech worker leaves at a 7-Eleven, and the kind of triad pimp guy, you know, calls the phone. He says, "You're fucking dead, right?" Strange Library. It's also this surrealness. Something about that isekai thing, right, is weird. Like, there was a video about it, like an analysis video, with regards to this sort of pattern in Japanese fiction of, you know, guy gets the girl, where I believe the anime was the one where they travel across time and switch genders, right? The movie. And it's a lot like that, a lot of his books, really, basically, you know. But Strange Library is just that, but like a lot of illustrations, which are pretty cool. What's next? Pinball. Pinball is basically about a guy who like plays fucking pinball, and it has the same fucking Murakami character who's like a down on his luck guy, or maybe girl sometimes. That's more the case in like After Dark. Down on his luck guy who's, you know, has a certain obsession, whatever. That's basically every Murakami novel when I think about it, you know. And he likes to play pinball. And there's him, and there's also Rat something. This guy has a sort of nickname, Ratfink or something, I forget. And he's dating this girl, and he's thinking of like moving away from the area. There's this Chinese bartender who speaks Japanese better than both of them. And color is Tsukuru. Also a guy going through a crisis. His one friend goes sort of insane after being raped, and she blames him for it because of some like psychic shit or something, right? Because of this trauma where I guess maybe she has to associate it with something. I guess that would be more traumatic, but like more manageable also in a way, knowing the person. Yeah. And so then he goes through all this crisis and stuff. Yeah. Then recently the Wind Up Bird Chronicle and fucking Wind Up Bird Chronicle and some other book where it's kind of this fantasy conceit and there's like a gate for some shit, you know? But yeah, that's the Murakami books I've been reading. I haven't read IQ 84 yet. Whatever the other one is called, it's called that. So, you know, I can't. Sooner or later, it's all gonna fall out of my brain. And like, this video will just be like a reminder of like, oh, you read all this stuff? And I'm like, yeah. So I'll have like a similar video like this out later for like other authors, you know, Ishiguro, David Foster Wallace, other one-offs, Camilla Shamsi, Ali Seti, Majumdar, I forget her first name, fucking bunch of shit I've been reading. I have 7 books over here. I have a problem. Look, I have a problem. That's too many books. Look at all these books. I have a problem. I need not that much help, but I need some help. Just a teensy weensy little bit of help is what I need. So, goodbye, books.